family man in the Philippines. Alright, so I have a DDR4 memory that I did a little open box for, giving some special information about the truth behind memory that nobody else talks about on YouTube. Part of it is that it's not really truly the speed that everybody thinks it is. It's truly 2133 megahertz, but it's been tested at higher speeds. So they advertise it as being 3000 megahertz or 3200 megahertz or 3600 megahertz. The XMP profile is actually an overclocking profile that's built into the set of memory, and that's how that functions when you set the XMP in the BIOS. Also is that 3000 megahertz memory is actually 2933 megahertz, not a full 3000 megahertz. AMD Ryzen 5 processor that I ordered is coming in. I've done some research on it, and its memory bandwidth is 2933 megahertz. So your 3000 megahertz memory will match the 2933 megahertz bandwidth of your Ryzen CPU. So a lot of things are going on in the world, and most of it is advertising so that they can jump the price up. So basically all the memory, I looked at the gskill Trident Z memory, and on its web page it shows that it's 2133 megahertz and basically tested at 3000 or 3200 megahertz. Same as on the Corsair Vengeance memory or any of the other memory on the market. So if you do your research, you'll find out that's what's really going on. And nobody else is talking about it except for me on my channel. So with that introduction, maybe I'll shorten the introduction. On to the unboxing of the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. Dino D, family man in the Philippines, welcome to my channel. So I left the US back on April 25th, and now I'm still here almost 5 months later. I intend on staying here, but I kind of missed my beast of a PC that I built over in the US. It was quite the performer. Anyway, so I've been doing a little research on some memory and motherboards, power supplies and all that good stuff. I usually know the major name brands of everything that I buy to build a PC with. I don't like the ones that do not come with labels. These brands here have longer warranties, 2 or 3 year warranties and things of that nature. So today we're going to start talking about RAM memory. I know, a fun one, right? There's so many different videos out there about computer building and computer parts and memory and airflow and everything else in the books. Well, one of the brands I'm in favor of is the Corsair Vengeance line, or the Corsair LPX also. The gskill are good brands. I don't use anything like the Kingston HyperX. I always try to stick to what I call the better quality or better brand names. This model is the Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB or RGB Pro, and it's a 3000 megahertz, and it's a latency of 15 at the lowest form, and then your other latencies are 17, 17, and 35. Now I purchased this is a 2x8 gigabyte set of RAM kits, dual channel. The reason why you buy them in kits for dual channel is because they're actually tested together and certified to run dual channel. If you don't get the dual channel kit and you slap 2 8 gig memory sticks in your computer, they may not perform very well together, because all chips are not created equal. I'm finding there's like 3 different part numbers for the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. The one I have starts with a CMW. The other 2 part numbers start with a CMD and a CMK. Now all 3 of these parts or kits are 16 gigabyte kit, latency of 15. Now the CMD and CMK I found on a list dated back in 2017. This part number I cannot find anywhere. So I also have a gigabyte motherboard right here that these memory chips are going to go into. So I contacted Gigabyte and they said they cannot test all of the RAM modules that are on the market, so they're not sure of the compatibility. But I'm sure they're compatible. They're Corsair brand. So we're going to open these up, and of course everybody else does the same thing. They have box openings, right? So I'm here to try to give some extra information about things. More of the research that I've done is that these are marked as 3000 megahertz DDR4 memory at 15 cache latency at the lowest form. As you can see, they have nice aluminum heat shield for dissipating heat from the memory. So here they are, both of them, out of the case. And they do have some weight to them. Part of that because of the RGB LEDs mounting and the heat shield itself. These come with 10 LEDs each, all the way across, so you can make a vast array of different colors. During my research, what I found though on the memory that you order and buy is that it may not necessarily be built at 3000 or 3200 megahertz. So what they're doing is the similar thing that they did back in like the early 80s. If any of you people were alive and remember computers back then, they used to have what we call the double-sided and single-sided floppy disk, a 5 1/4 and a 3.5 inch. What they did back then was create all the discs equal, and then they would go through quality control and be tested. Well, sometimes they were only tested good for single side, sometimes they were tested for double side. Brings down production costs. So what they're doing with these memory chips is, this is actually a 2133 megahertz chip, and it's probably the same thing with all brands across the board. So they create these at a 2133 megahertz and they test them to see how highly they will go. So these have been tested up to 3000 megahertz. Reliable and dependable. Now most of the time you can squeeze an extra 10% out of them. No problem without increasing voltage or latency. So typically out of 3000 megahertz with a good brand, you should be able to get at least 3200 megahertz. Now the other thing I found out doing my research is I'm going to be using an AMD Ryzen 5 processor in my Gigabyte board. And come to find out that the processor only runs at 2933 megahertz bandwidth for the memory anyway. And there's a lot of people out there wanting to purchase like 3200 megahertz or 3600 megahertz memory. Well, if you get your memory going higher than what the faster than what the processor can process it, or allow it to get into the CPU to process, then what you're going to end up with is a bottleneck. Kind of like a funnel somebody else has said, is it comes down big and gets down narrow. So as the 3600 speed comes from the memory down into the processor, which only processes at 2933 megahertz, some of that information still has to sit there and wait. So that's the conclusion of our unboxing and history lesson today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Not a whole lot you can say about memory. Yes, I'll be installing this in my computer build